I'm not a federal agent. I'm not, part of any three-letter agency. I don't work for the Mossad. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to open with that.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah.
so the format of the show is typically that I do it where you would ask me a question about yourself, and then I would try to answer it, and then you would come back to me. Now, with these kind of conversations and with what you've told me, I think we can do something more direct. So you originally were very right-leaning.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then
Okay.
you
Yeah.
had a shift. If you could just, for everybody's sake, like bring us up to speed on where
Yeah.
you were at and
What
where you're
made
at
what
now.
made me switch? And I don't think I ever like voted Republican. I was independent, but I'm just trying to think here. What made me shift from like a lot of right leaning talking points and stuff? It was
Well, and also like what can you give us a portrait of what you were like when you were
yeah,
more
yeah,
right
yeah.
leaning?
I was when I moved to Israel, I was trying to buy into the Zionist narrative. Um, my parents didn't really see a future for me going to college and things like that, like a very conventional route. And look, I love my family, but I was I was not prepared. I think different. I mean, like looking back, I could have done so many other things. I could have, started doing landscaping or started actually making money. Um, I felt like it was just a way, like birthright in Israel is just a way for American Jews to be indoctrinated, and it wasn't. It didn't feel like it was my best interest. I mean, I've never been out of the country. That was a huge selling point of this. Was like, oh, I get to see the world. And once I was there, I saw a huge divide in how like Arabs like in the West Bank were treated versus like people in settlements. And I was, doing fencing jobs. I was painting homes inside. And I mentioned this when I was doing this type of work, when I was either walking dogs or just doing carpentry. I noticed when, let's say, a guy I was working with had to use the bathroom and he happened to be Arab, he would have to use the bathroom outside.
Wow.
And that's very demoralizing to a human being to have to defecate outside. And their excuse is, oh, they'll steal, they'll rape my wife or my daughter, or they'll attack my son. They view these people as problems rather than people. And another big shift for me was being an ESL teacher, and one of my students happened to be Palestinian. And mind you, when I was in Israel, I wasn't really close. It was just some guy I worked with. I kept to myself. I just painted. This, oh, we have another house to do, or oh, you're done for the day. That's literally just disassociate and go to work. But when I got to the States and I had a student named Salwa, she would tell me like, yeah, I remember settlers like pulling out this family friends, like olive trees, and just the IDF telling like this house is government property now, and they would just evict. Like you have, you know, 10 hours to leave. Yeah, imagine having 10 hours to leave your own house. They would just count down to get all your shit out, and they're gonna level it or move a whole new family in. And a lot of these families, some of them, not all, but some of them, a lot of these people, it's very funny because a lot of these people are Hasidim. And the Hasidim, the right wing talking point is, oh, these people, they leech off the government, whoever it is. They have welfare, government assistance. Most, not most, but a lot of Israel's Hasidim, or the ultra Orthodox, that's all they do. They study Torah and they live off the government and they live in government housing. And that government housing is in the West Bank. So I noticed that was kind of a contradiction. It started making me question things like, if they hate government assistance so much, then why don't they let them do it? Why do they build houses for them? Fuck them. They don't work. I'm painting their homes. They're not doing it. You know, I'm walking IDF soldiers as dogs. Like these people are going to war for them. Fuck them. I don't care what God said. And I grew up going to shul, not eating bacon, and I was like, oh, these people are just schizophrenic.
What do you
So yeah,
mean?
I sound like a huge asshole, and there's probably people that are going to be commenting. But again,
No, when you say
these
that
are my
though, I
opinions.
want to
Yeah,
know, I'm not mad at it. I
of
want to
course.
know what you mean by that. Which people, like, because
I'll give you.
because I
Yeah.
also want to know, did you walk away from your like faith or culture more, or just from Zionism, if you will?
Um, I still fast on Yom Kippur. I still do the holidays, but unfortunately, this has caused a rift in the relationship with my mom because my mom's very pro-Israel. My
Mm.
dad's a little bit. My dad's a bit more liberal. And I mean, we have a decent relationship. They still say I love. It's just sad because um, and they're older. I just wish they did more with their time. I was gonna make a joke here, like my mom. I have my glasses here. I was gonna say like my mom watches like news on her iPad like this. She's like, sad what's happening. Sad what's happening overseas. Iran, we need to get over there. We need to free them. And I'm like, oh, government intervention, really, mom? You didn't. I mean, come on, you were alive for Iraq. Like, come on,
Mm.
But we disagree. I still love her, but yeah, I can. I'm a grown man, and I can tell my parents when they're wrong. So, um, yeah, it sucks, but like it's a big problem in even the Democratic Party, and
Well,
it's
I was gonna
yeah,
say,
yeah.
so you mentioned to me that one of the reasons was also workers' rights. And I
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
know,
That's a
do
whole
you
other
feel
thing.
like Democrats actually really
No,
deal
no,
with both of those issues well?
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all. In Savannah, they just closed down the paper mill. Van Johnson didn't say shit about that. I don't know. There's people that are getting laid off a lot. Um, and look, this is I guess the Trump administration or whatever. There's tariffs, there's stuff like that. But um, you know, Amazon still has labor rights issues, but there's all these right to work states, all these international companies go to. So they're taking advantage of us and our workers, and we're just letting it happen. And that's what's frustrating and upsetting that they're using our laws against us.
Mm.
And one of my favorite things was that Ford worker flipping off, like he calls him a pedophile enabler or something like that. But he's like, they should fire him, and I was like, what happened to cancel culture, guys? What happened? What happened to all this stuff that you guys said? Oh, you're the free speech, but God forbid you criticize Israel. Oh, that's anti-Semitic. No. We don't play that. This is how I view it as a Jew, okay? As a Jew that grew up religious and all that. If you can go to a shul and pray and wear kippah on the way, or just wear kippah outside and not be attacked, I think that don't ask you anything about Israel or anything like that. You can just go shop. It's like wearing a hijab. If you can go and practice your religion safely, I don't think there needs to be a Jewish state for that.
Mm.
But again, this is very controversial. Like 70-80% of people would disagree with me. And I also don't believe your tax dollars should go to it, Rebecca.
Mm.
Right? Your tax dollars should go to, I don't know, the debt that's crushing us. I don't know, education, clean water. There's so many problems here. And then when you say like, oh, all these Congress people are sending money or getting money from Israel, what are they doing with it? Buying watches, jewelry? No. No. That should drive the average American up a wall.
It's interesting because this phenomenon of like racism, like people perceiving things as racism that are what I would say are, and
Yeah.
people will hate me for saying this, in the gray area, in the sense that I would make the distinction that suggesting that there is a right to a place that people were not in for a really long time, to take
Yeah.
over that place, to have somewhere to live, is a very distinct thing from it being problematic that they exist or practice their religion, right? That would be racism. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. And
Well,
so I think what's interesting though is that on both sides there's this narrative of people jumping on the racism bandwagon when there are plenty of microaggressions, there's plenty of intentional things, and then there are also things where it's like, well, was that really racism? And it creates this environment where people aren't then looking at the complexity of the issue because they're like, you can't talk about that because it's racist.
well, I think identity politics has a lot to do with it. Identity politics was a big thing in Republicans. Like, oh, we don't care about it. Screw identity politics. If you're black or if you're Indian or whatever, you should be able to vote Republican or Democrat and not be judged. Blah 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 blah. This is freedom of vote. And yeah, of course that's fair. And I guess that's why a lot of the right in like 2016, that's where it all shifted. Like, yeah, you're right. I have to think about myself, my family, and whatever. And that's a big narrative. Serve God, your country, all that. And that's a lot. That's a big conservative narrative that a lot of people get behind. It's a huge populist movement, but when you see like, I don't know, like videos of like a white lady getting shot by like ICE, three-letter agency. Again, I have my view, but like I also grew up with a really cool history teacher that like taught us like what happened in Waco, what happened in Ruby Ridge, for example, or the CIA's intervention in what is it in Guatemala, what a banana republic means, things like that. So yeah, I'm a lot more critical of international policy and even what happens domestically, because we're not serving the American people. If you're elected office, your job is to serve me, is to work for me. Like, for instance, if you walk into the dealership I work at and you're like, hey, I need a 50 horsepower tractor, I better get you the quote with everything you want on it. And if I don't get the sale, and you never do business with me ever again. Simple as that.
Mm. I want to go back to this idea that you had where you mentioned, and I literally was watching a video the other day about this idea of like free speech and cancel culture. And this is something I'm sure I want to know more about how you come across this stuff as a comedian right now and how you navigate like being able to talk about politics, or if you make that funny or if you leave it out or whatever. But one thing is free speech, it's really the free market, right? I mean, I think if you in practice are experiencing a limitation of free speech, the government doing it is where we see the real problem. But the reality is that you are going to be less likely to say something because of social pressures of the people that are directly around you than you are, or the implications on your career,
Yeah.
the social policing of it, than you are if the government was doing
Oh
something.
yeah,
You would
yeah.
whisper to each other, right? So in a sense, people's free speech is de facto limited, but it's a matter of, is that really problematic if it's socially limited? Because in that case, especially if you're in entertainment, it's literally the free market. It's people don't want your product
Yeah,
and
of
you're
course.
not going to be bought from socially. So, yeah, I want your take on that if you
Of
agree.
course, of course. Yeah. Um, I noticed because like we love violence in America. Let's pretend like we don't. Okay, Quentin Tarantino movies gross like an African country's GDP. You know, uh, so when like people were like, "Oh, you don't make fun of Charlie Kirk," or "You got fired over a Charlie Kirk joke," I I was like, "Yeah, that sounds. Yep, yeah. You get you have to reap what you sow." But like nobody is like Lenny Bruce handcuffing you for like making fun of, or like I'm gonna fucking kick that guy's ass later. He sucks, or say pregnant, or I make fun of, I don't know. Um, what is it? Somebody being for instance, I have a bit about Luke Combs, and he does what is it? He covers Fast Car, and he says he looks like he yells slurs from a fast car. That's like a punchline. But like no one's gonna arrest me. Like, you called Luke Combs racist. That's slander. We're gonna throw you in jail. No, no one's gonna do that. and thank God we don't. But like, yeah, it was different, obviously, in the '50s for some fucking reason, because you know it was a different time. Um, but yeah, obviously, it's a free market and stuff, and there's always a demo. There's always there's you choose your grift. You got to choose your grift. You got to stick with your grift because you can't switch. If you switch, well, you got to make sure it's for a bigger paycheck. But yeah, I'm not really good at grifting. I think I'm too lazy to grift.
Can you explain that to the audience? Because I think that's definitely an inside the comedy world term.
Yeah. So like grifting is like pandering, and it's like just like throwing yourself to like one side or the other. Like, for instance, like Turning Point USA, that's a grift. Like being like free speech, or like trans women aren't women, they're fucking circus freaks or whatever, and that gets like applause. Or if you go to like Hassan Piker, who has like what, like a $3 million home, and he's like, yeah, communism is a really good idea, and we got to hold these landlords accountable. Meanwhile, he's probably got like 4 properties, and paints over the light sockets. I don't know. That could be slander. That could be a joke. But like, God forbid, we make fun of a person like that, I go to jail. But we don't yet. All we have is that. All we have is the joke. You know. Maybe voting works. That's what I'm more concerned about. Like, is voting actually going to work this time?
Yeah,
Because I feel like I don't know. I don't feel like my votes really. Who did I vote for? I think I voted for Biden. Yeah, I voted for Biden, and that was reluctantly. I was so close to voting Libertarian just to like rage quit, because I was like, this guy is so old, man. This guy should have a life alert necklace, and I should be like walking into the bathroom. And I don't know, man. It's just like, it's an insult. It's a slap in the face. Like, the Democratic Party is like, yeah, fuck you guys. Yeah, fuck. We're gonna take Israel. We're gonna take lobbyists. We actually love Exxon. We actually love Caterpillar. Whatever the hell, whatever company you can name. We actually love United Healthcare. We actually gave them the money for AI to deny people for claims. Whatever the hell it is. And that's why I'm very much a democratic socialist because of that. And
I
this is
was
coming
just
from
gonna
some.
say, where do
Yeah.
you land?
Yep, I think democratic socialists are like weirdly libertarian, but not to where they're like about age of consent or like roads being built or whatever. They gotta build your own roads or some shit. Like, there's some libertarian things that are like really cool in practice, but like probably couldn't happen. Like, you can't be like an anarchist. So I guess like institutional Democrat, like a Democrat socialist, could work. And people are afraid of socialism. People are afraid that they won't make money. You're not a billionaire. And if you think like a billionaire, like you need to be a billionaire in this country, like that's kind of fucked up. To me, like, I think if you have one house and you own it outright and you keep paying taxes on it, great. But like, how much is enough? That's what we have to ask ourselves as human beings in this country. How much, or not even in this country? There's billionaires all over the world. So it's more of a human condition question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complete and utter cultural shift from there's like two narratives going on about what America is. There's it's the place of immigrants, the melting pot, the place of like opportunity for all. And then there's the narrative that it is like um God's country, and it is like I don't know, meant to be a certain way, and but also the American dream of you can pursue anything that you want sort of exists in both, but in the latter, it's very much at the cost of anything. Like, you can uh, you can aim, you wanting to aim, it's the capitalist materialism, right? You're wanting to aim for as much as you can possibly have. And I think even between those two, in either side of looking at what America is about,
Yeah.
uh, it's really hard to cap people's wealth potential, and so they have a really hard time with that because both of those dreams are built on endless growth.
Because, yeah, we have to ask ourselves, like, and people like this, like, oh, then, like, who's going to pay for the free stuff or whatever? And I'm like, you think, like, I don't know, if my Amazon package takes like 2 weeks instead of 3 days, fine. whatever, how slow it is. So the guy gets health insurance. He doesn't have to, piss in a bottle. So be it. So be it. I feel like we live off convenience. We love that we can get things from the fast food. Like I said, you can get a gun in the drive-through. Um, we need to be inconvenienced as a civilization. Because like COVID made it to where like you can order food, you can probably get you can get porn on your phone, you can gamble on you can do anything. And I think that was a big reason why I got like weirdly religious at like 17, 18, was because the phone was like around a lot of toxicity. It was ahead of it, a big source of it. So shutting off my phone from Friday to like Saturday night was like I had to lock in and be in the moment. You know. I'm sorry. What's the question? I kind of went off tangent. I
No, I
apologize.
was just suggesting that in either, whether you're talking about it being like a melting pot where everybody has opportunity and people come out here, or whether you're talking about like rich people have the right to keep their money and not pay taxes, right? Those are sort of two different narratives, but they're both based on wealth potential. And so some people would be like, well, why don't you move to another country if you want a completely different cultural overhaul of what, the
And I think
American
there's
dream
going to be a
is?
lot. There's going to be a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But we've got to, hopefully Americans are motivated to learn. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah,
Spanish, whatever.
one could go on. So talk to me a little bit more about like specifically, have you changed your I'm going to guess that you have not changed your routine very much in terms of what you're willing to say and not say. Like, based on my impression of you right now, like 4 years ago, how long have you been doing comedy?
I've been doing comedy for 7 years.
Okay. So
I,
7 years ago, after you got your whole shtick established and like,
yeah.
okay, this is how I'm doing it, you probably took an approach to things like politics or hot button issues that is the same as you do today, which is say anything. Is that
Uh,
true, or have I completely
no,
misjudged?
no, you have to compromise what you say to an extent, especially
Mhm.
for getting paid. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you don't have any morals, or you sell out," and I'm like, "Yeah, brother. Like rent's $2,000 a month. I'm sorry, I sold out." You know. But what's what I try to do, maybe if it's a more conservative crowd or something, I would talk about my family, or I would talk about some weird stuff like, hey, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, my dad ran an adult video store, it's right next to an Arby's, or do that. I do a bit like that. Or um what is it, I would either talk about my mom, have a bit about my mom, or Marty, a guy I used to work for or work with. um It just depends. It all
Mm,
depends. I do talk about personal stuff, um, but I try not to. An opinion is like kind of the like last thing you should end on if
hmm.
you can like have an angle on it. Like for instance, I believe all kids should be on a leash if they're not vaccinated. I would do a bit like that, and then they're like, "That's weird," and then you say why, and then you get them back on the puzzling premise or something. It's kind of like a math equation.
Hmm.
Um, oh man, I hate talking about comedy like this. It's fucking boring. Really?
I mean, not no, it's not for people who aren't in it.
Okay.
And also
I got
something
my
that's
book right
coming
here.
to my mind, this was going to get you off track of your train of thought, but popped into my brain is when you started out as a comic, were you right leaning at that time?
I was a little bit, but like I would do like dumb stuff, man. I would do stuff like, oh my god, there's probably like recordings out there. Like if you like look hard enough, like I've made fun of like there's a place called China One, WON. Seems like they're rubbing it in our face. Um, and I would used to. I saw the movie Shang-Chi, about the guy with the 10 rings, and seems like my favorite part of that movie was when they didn't send Muslim people to concentration camps. Like I would do like weird stuff like that. Like it was. If I were to do controversial stuff, I'd have to make it like really super slapstick, like the Washington Redskins. Offensive name. We don't like it. Boo. I was like, instead, I think they should be called the Washington. Ooh, I would do that. Like I would in a
Mm.
bong, but I would. I was like 19.
Mhm, mhm.
You're supposed to like throw shit against a wall, especially at an open mic, and if it doesn't stick, drop it. You know. Um,
Were
and
you
yeah.
sensitive about that? Like when people
Oh,
would,
100%, 100%. When
yeah,
people are like, "Dude, you're a
and then you
bigot.
would
No one wants to talk."
correct
Yeah,
course.
100%,
Yeah.
100%, 100%. Because I was just coming out of like rushing a fraternity, and I dropped the fraternity, and there was she probably won't listen to this, but like Julia Desmond, she's a really good comic up in New York, and she was getting a lot more gigs than I was. We were the same age, and I was like, "What the fuck? Why can't I get booked?" And it took me like till recently to do a don't tell. So like the right person saw me and just gave me an opportunity, and that means a lot. But I do stuff on like my fiance, like Ben and Jerry's. Like Ben and Jerry's, they need a right leaning audience now, and like things like do what makes you laugh. Do what
Mm.
is you think is stupid, not to try to prove a point. Move move like a jester or a clown, not like a fucking warrior. You're not a warrior. This isn't brave. Men who go to war are brave. Men who serve our country and who, stop burglaries, they're brave. This is not brave, okay? You're not. Comedy is not a tough guy thing. It should not be a tough guy thing. This is for idiots. This isn't like peak intellectualism. I think like Norm Macdonald says like calling comics modern day philosophers is offensive to philosophers. You're not a philosopher just because you want to try to fuck the waitress, you know.
Mhm.
So everyone wants to be like Carlin. People fetishize. Oh man, Carlin, comedy's so important. But like, yeah, but there's also like joke structure. Like, not everything's supposed to be a point. Some things are just supposed to be entertainment. And obviously, he was really fucking good at what he did. But that's Carlin. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
that's not the standard. The standard is the best, funniest version of yourself. Jerry Seinfeld and George Carlin technically do the same thing. Both are very different people.
Mm. Do you feel
So,
though that you have a responsibility? So when people experience a topic, whether they experience it through humor or seriously, they
okay,
still walk away with an impression. So if somebody lightens something up for me and I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I felt really heavy about that before, but now I can kind of joke about it, that can alter my relationship to that subject. So while you're saying like you shouldn't think of yourself as somebody that's maybe introducing novel ideas or bringing people about, there is still a thing where people are affected by what you say. Do you
of
feel
course,
that responsibility? Like, do
a
you
hundred,
feel
a
any
hundred percent.
responsibility to influence thought?
I do feel like I can be used to be a bridge rather than a wall or a border. Be a bridge instead of a border. So for me, that's like, yeah, you guys don't have. Hey, you look like you gamble on sports. Like I talked to a guy, backwards hat, like typical Barstool guy, and I'm like, yeah, man, like you and my uncle, you guys would be great friends. He took the under on my high school basketball game. He's like, that's defeating, right? And I would talk about that. I'd make fun of myself, but like, yeah, imagine going 4 for 10 for the line, and your uncle gets $200, like just shit like that. Like, um, yeah, there's probably someone who's like addicted to gambling in their family, or is, or whatever, and he's like, yeah, that is sad that you would do that, and it's even sadder that he wanted $200 made his day, even though he's out $800. You got to be able to like make fun of dark shit. I think that's to
Mm,
me. I have more respect as a comic of that. Of them trying to do something. It might not land. It might be awkward, but they're personal. They don't try to give a hot take on something. They just like, yeah, this is my problem, or you know what, yeah, I miss my ex-wife, or my ex used to play with my nipples, and now I'm lonely, and man, the weather's cold out, or they change their mind, or they're like, I've heard this. I need to give a shout out because I'm quoting JD. I'm misquoting his joke, but he's like, "All right, guys, this is the weirdest thing. Look, man, I'm lonely. I haven't been in a relationship in 2 years, and he's been doing it for like. If you ever go to Greensboro, go to the Idiot Box. He's one of the funniest people I've seen. Um, and he was, oh my god, he just got personal. Like he was like, I got nuts. He's like, you can't open with that on a date. That's what it is. You can't open. He's like, my name's JD. I work at a comic book store. I like they don't like that. They don't like honesty. He's like, oh, forget it. Throw that out the window. And I was like, he's probably like, that's the punchline. They don't like honesty. And you could be sexist or whatever, but like how he's saying it is vulnerable because of his weird thing,
Yeah.
So for me, it's vulnerability. Vulnerability makes you a more successful, funny comic. And I don't see myself as a successful comic. I don't know what a successful comic is by any means, but I think I'm a fulfilled person. I think that's a better way to look at
I
it.
mean,
Because
I would
it's yeah,
consider a successful comic, unless you're
yeah,
talking about name recognition among like most people. I
yeah.
would say it's somebody who gets booked
Okay,
and makes people laugh and is like good at that has some kind of reputation within the community of being worthy of
okay.
being booked and making people laugh, because
Wow.
otherwise you're like struggling to kind of make
Please
it
say
work
that to
out
my
because
parents, please. Oh my God, can I give you Deborah Friedman's number after this? Maybe Ken too. My biggest thing is growing up as a Jew, it's like Jerry Seinfeld's the standard. Like that's the funniest guy. Like you should talk about airplane. You should do observational shit. And I'm like, I talk about my mom smoking weed, and they're like, no, don't do that. And I'm like, well, I'm sentient. This is my reality. This is like my truth, so to speak. So yeah, it's freeing. It's like it was very therapeutic, but it's like there's a weight. There's like a skin, like a snake shedding skin when you can talk about stuff like that.
mm,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's a really good thing of just being booked in whatever community you're in repeatedly. But I don't see myself making a real living at it. If you make a real you have to be on the road constantly. You basically have to live in a van or like in a condo lodge.
yeah, I was hearing a comic talk about like how everything that leads up to the show on the tour is hell, but it's worth it for the show.
Of
But I
course.
think for some people it's not necessarily worth it for the show.
Oh, I've had nightmare
If your
gigs. Yeah, of
whole
course.
life is lost on it. But yeah, I think going back to that idea of like dark comedy, I'm thinking about what is kind of when we think about what the purpose of comedy is, it's to lighten our lives from the darkness in it. And if you can make fun of the darkness itself and bring it into a lighter place, then that's a job done. It's just interesting that at this time, I have found that people like when I first launched the channel, I had a bunch of guests ready and like I had some episodes that were done and whatever. And then the channel kind of tanked because after the election, nobody wanted to talk anymore. Nobody wanted to put themselves out there. Like I'll
Why do
even
you think that
still
is?
find people because they found a lot of my guests were liberal and they found life so devastating that they couldn't
Oh,
even deal with like heavy
sorry.
topics. They were struggling to read the news. It was just this like everyone kind of gotten flattened. Who Anyone who believes that we are in the midst of a tyrannical takeover is struggling, and I think people are finally like coming out again and like adjusting to some kind of new normal that they're relating to, and then they're able to be like more active to talk. But I would never have been able to get anyone to talk about I tried to talk about anything political in nature for a while. And then also people are worried about being judged and with the division that's going on. So I think like I wonder if was there a period of time that you noticed that people lost an appetite for hot topics?
Yes. Yes, a lot of mass shootings. I think there was a mass shooting, and I was like told by the club, like, because, like, hey, you're doing this joke or whatever, don't do this joke. And I was like, okay. Because, like, apparently I did it at, like, an open mic before and didn't really get laughs. And I guess someone told them, and he's like, hey, don't do that joke again. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't. But, like, because I was a young kid, they thought I would, like, try again or something, which is, like,
Mhm.
fair, you know? But they were, shout out Timmy Sherrill of Dead Crow Comedy in Wilmington, North Carolina. Half of this is going to be shout outs. There's not gonna be actual content. But yeah, talking with like owners of like venues and being like, yeah, I'm all this free speech guy, but like read the fucking room, and if you don't, like, you could get banned, and you have to get over that because it's my venue and I get to do what I want. And you can call me lib, you can call me a Republican, whatever. And he's like, that's actually, yeah, good for you. Put your dick on the table. You pay fucking the lease here, dude. Do whatever do what the market tells you to do. Because there's probably like super Republican. There's like Myrtle Beach. There's like a comedy club that's like super clean and like pretty much like Christian. So I can't go up and be like, y'all have a cum towel? Y'all use, like, I can't just open with that. You know, I can be like, the towel that's just for cum. After you're done with your spouse, after you're done with your husband or whatever, I'd say, or pretend I'm gay or whatever. You know.
There's
Um,
always the towel. Yeah.
there's always the towel. Um, but yeah, I try to like read the room. I don't do the edgy stuff anymore. Really, I don't know if I'm safe. But like, it's really funny that like Jerry Seinfeld. I want to keep mentioning him. I'm obsessed with Jerry Seinfeld. You
I
have to.
mean,
I am
why not,
because he's
right?
like PC culture is out of control. He says like PC culture is out of control. It would be so funny if somebody like stood up at one of his gigs, and he was like, "What is the deal with Uber?" He's like, "Fuck you, I work for Uber." Like, no one's gonna flip out on his joke about baseball cards, you know. So yeah, when it comes to sensitive topics, hey, you do the gig, you pay, do the dance. Sometimes you got to do the fucking dance. Open
Hmm.
mics aren't for that. Open mics, you get the fuck around and bomb, but you don't have to bomb all the time. You can go with the intention of actually doing well and working on things, and I think that's really important. If you want to be a serious comic, it's like go with intention. Like, I really want to try this joke. Oh, this didn't work. Change something around it. Don't like repeat it. Like, flip the delivery of it. Present it differently. It's about what is it? It's about what you say and how you say it.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I I just realized that so I don't mind an open mic, okay? But I'm always expecting that I'm gonna get like exposed to maybe the comic that hasn't been discovered yet. And
No, you're not. No, nope.
you just broke my fantasy that it's even the comics who are doing well are trying out their crap material on the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on.
That's why my friends hate it, and they have a point.
They
Okay.
should. They okay. If you go to an open mic, it better be like your last stop. You better be like trash to shit. I think if you're an audience member, don't interrupt, obviously. But like, if a good comic is, or like a comic is like good, they might talk to you. I like crowd work. I think crowd work is a talent, and that's something I really want to work on. Like just talking and going to a joke. Like, man, I'm gaining weight. Like, what should I do? It's like, I don't know, eat less sugar. And he's like, I'll go into my ice cream bin. Ice cream. I stopped eating ice cream. And he's like, he's like, you like ice cream? I love it, man. And we go into whatever bit I have. Ooh, hold on. I'm just trying to read something. Yeah, like people getting drunk. I would talk about like, so who's blowing in the breathalyzer after this? Just like dumb shit like that. Just kind of being jovial is really important. Having a good
Mm.
time. Don't be like, hey, I'm throwing shit at you. You're like, you have being in the moment is really fucking important because this is a performance art, or this is performance. Um,
Yeah, it's
I don't want to.
entertainment.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like pretentious. It's not easy, I guess, but I've seen like people on their first time do really well. I like bombed like my first time. They got bombed up like I don't think I like did really well. I didn't get booked for like 6. I think it took me like 6, maybe 3 to 4 months to get booked.
Mm.
So everyone's got their own time and stuff. You know, there's people that wait 14 years to like record an album. Okay, it's not like 10 years and you get a Netflix special. Trust me. So it's subjective. It's art. Um, but like I don't want to like because I've worked like super conservative comics who are like openly like yeah I'm a Republican or whatever, and I don't know if I have to choose a grift yet. I feel kind of like pressure. This is just me, just kind of insecure feelings. Like, how do I articulate myself in a way where I'm like still myself, um, and still make money and like you know considered like a valuable part of this community. And I think, I got to be more positive. I got to like leave the world better than you saw it. So I think that's gonna be because I'm not gonna say I'm like a veteran, but like if I see someone like not do well, like I have to go up and be like, try this, talk about this instead, like because I don't want to see a room of people cleared and then I go up. You know how demoralizing that is. Like I went up like 20th last night, and I was like, I gotta throw shit on the wall. I guess fine, you know. Um, but yeah, ooh, I'll give you a story real quick, and I don't want to leave this conversation anymore. I guess like, what are we at? Are we at? You want to do 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
great. Do you
I
have any
have
questions for
one
me?
more type of
Yeah,
question for you, but you
sure.
tell me your story first.
Oh, okay. So the worst gig I ever had, and first of all, if you're if you really like, if you really want to get into comedy, you have to get used to being scammed or people trying to scam you. There's people like, oh yeah, this is a paid gig, and yeah, you could like drive out to like an hour and a half somewhere, and you're like in a shit bar, Confederate flag behind you. You walk in, and it's first of all, this place is right next to a Food Lion in Havelock, North Carolina. Bam, this place is carpeted. This bar, I repeat, this bar in Havelock, North Carolina, next to the Food Lion in a strip mall, is carpeted. And I was like, man, that was a long drive. I got to go use the bathroom. You go in the bathroom, bam, it is also carpeted. A carpeted bathroom with urinals.
That is the most disgusting.
And I'm like, I hope to get paid for this. I'm doing 20 minutes. I do my time, but before that, I'm like working on my stuff. I think I had my one beer of the night. I'm watching basketball on a little TV screen by the bar. And as the host is sets up, he starts doing his act or starts introducing himself. And I'm drinking, I'm working on my little set. This gentleman comes up to me and he says, "Why are you watching?" And he says the N-word, play plural, play basketball. And I'm probably the only one. I think I was the only one at the bar too. Like, right? I was the one, big basketball fan. As soon as he says that, he calls my name on the stage, and I'm like, I have to. First of all, you can't let. I think this is a lesson. Like, you can't let anything shake you. And mind you, I'm walking up to a stage in a carpeted bar. We were playing pool. Basically, I bombed for about 15 minutes. I think I cut it off 5. And I still like did most of my time. And the guy says, the host, after the whole show ends, I bummed the whole time. I think I get like one table paying attention to me, and the guy, I'm like, hey, can I get paid? Like I drove out here, like this has been a shit night, man. I'm sorry. Like I opened with my closer. Like it just you gotta lock in. You gotta be mentally strong. You can't be like, That guy was like thought he was gonna jump me or something. Like I'm a 6'5" white guy who's like now 250 pounds. Like I can take, but I was like a dorky kid then. Like I was, like yes sir. Like I still did dirty stuff on stage, but I was like Southern guy. Like yes sir, yes ma'am, firmly shake, whatever. Um, but anyways, he didn't pay me. He was like, yeah, that joke you said about that place in Germany or whatever, this restaurant. It was the joke is ching ching chong. Apparently, he's like, yeah, an Asian guy walked in from the Chinese restaurant, didn't like that. Probably already fucking made up. And the joke is there's a restaurant called Ching Ching Chong in Germany. It's like, can you believe that? We're letting them slide again. Blah, blah, blah. You know? It's a dumb joke, but it's like, yeah, like, can you believe it? And you would like to think it's Chinese food. They're getting me for that joke. Um,
Oh, the cops are coming.
yeah, the cops are coming. Um, yeah, they're what is it? Yeah, the Joker. So basically, he's like, yeah, that joke's offensive. I can't pay you. And I'm like, no. First of all, like, no one's paying attention to this bar. They didn't turn off. Fucking Tuesday's Gone is playing. Like they didn't turn like the music. I'm also competing with music, competing with sports. So
That's rough.
yeah, it was just you have to do those gigs. You don't have to, but it's about the people you work with too. You got to realize like some people are worth working with. Like, do you think this guy's actually going to give you $20 or not? It's just sometimes it's very seedy. You're lucky to get some scraps of it, especially if you're doing local comedy. Maybe
Mhm.
LA's different. Maybe LA's not different. I don't have that experience. I've never been there. But that was probably one of my worst gigs. And I remember like a buddy of mine driving with me. And this is a good friend of mine. This friend has seen me do whatever. And it was like, yeah, man, that sucked. I'm really sorry you had to do that. It's like, yeah, man, I stupidly love it. Like, it's like a wife that beats me. It's like I'm a woman in a lifetime movie, like emotionally.
Well, see, that's what I want to ask you, and I'm going to take a guess at this. What
Mm-hmm.
your motivation is to continue, because people talk a lot about, oh, it's really hard to be a comedian, similar to how it's hard to be an actor. I think it's probably emotionally harder to be a comedian because A, you're being yourself. B, you have to make people laugh on command, like dance, dance.
Yeah.
And you're bombing a lot at the beginning. You have to try out jokes that you think could bomb and see if they're working. And so anyway, I guess my question would be like, what
What
keeps you
keeps me
going?
going?
And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
as somebody who enjoys performance myself, I will say the moment in which people laugh or smile or cry because of something you did
Uh,
is unmatched. It's a
yeah.
really
That's
it's
that's
not
the
an
best drug.
ego
To me, that's
thing.
the best drug. Is to kill in a room. That's like the most dopamine I could get.
Yeah, and it's like you've got the dopamine that's going on. You've got like that personal, like people would say it's egotistical, but it's also on some level like a transcendent experience because you have enriched the world. Like there's something about that energy of like having brought that joy or that release to people that is just wildly fulfilling, and you don't need like a greater purpose than that, like, oh, I want to bring ideas to people and make them think
Nope.
about things, or
Nope.
I feel like it's
Nope. If
just
I can say "come
purely
on the
that.
ceiling" and that can make 10 people laugh, like that's fun for me.
Yeah.
Like I think for me, it's just being able to be goofy, and yeah, being goofy is like I guess like kind of like really important to me. I guess like to not take life seriously. Like yeah, obviously there's things going on in the media, but like I remember a comic like even respect or like knows how to write a joke. If you want to do something on like no one has to hear your take on Charlie Kirk. No one has to hear your take on like Donald Trump.
Mm.
They don't have to. It's not. They're not. They're not paying you for it, and it's and the no one requested it. So you gotta get them on your side, and if that's what it is. You gotta sell it to them. So that's why I kind of view sales the same way, I guess, where you like to have to sell the bit. You have to like get people
Mm.
on board. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
it's not noble for
that's what
you
keeps
to
me
sit
going.
around and think like, oh, I should share some deep opinion.
Nope, nope.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason. Like I don't know. Like Eric Andre's funny because he just like terrorizes his guests, or like Borat is like it's supposed to be a commentary on the culture. Like Borat's supposed to awaken something in the person. You know, you have to awake a reaction in your audience. You know,
Mm.
you have to be like, hey, I know this is stupid. I did this. I did Google Ching Chang Chong. And I know what you guys are thinking. Like Harrison, why would you do something like that? And he's like, but hear me out. Unfortunately, it's a place. Also, you
Well,
have to be comfortable with the silence too. You have to be
yeah.
comfortable with it not working. You can't be like, oh, I'm so excited to tell you a joke, and then you can't. You have to like lob it up, or you have to like not worry about their reaction. The best, not even the best. The best advice I got in comedy is weird. Is like be comfortable in the silence. Don't show that you're like nervous and shit. Just be like, I'm gay. My dick doesn't. You could say the dumbest things, but like sometimes that makes people laugh. Like there's people that are there's very high IQ individuals that like probably they're great public speakers, but they can't make people laugh because they're trying to go for something broad or something high, or they're trying to get them on the same plane of intelligence or existence.
They're
Like
making
some
it
people
about
don't
them.
know, yeah, some people don't know IDF or the ATF or whatever. Those my weird obscure references, or like, you know, this guy is turning into Kevin Spacey from American Beauty. He's trying to creep on this young chick. Like people, what? Like people, I've never seen that movie, dog. Like
Mm.
So being relatable is really important. Being comfortable in silence, because if you're comfortable in silence, people will be like, "Oh, this guy's cool. He doesn't care. He's having fun."
Oh yeah, there's nothing worse than an insecure comic.
You see it all the time. It's all it. I don't know if you gone to Austin, Texas. It's
Yeah.
every guy that doesn't do well on Kill Tony. That's who doesn't. That's who's in it. To me. That's I think that part of the country. I feel mean. I feel like I'm living out a little bit, but like that part has ruined comedy because they try to go free speech, or it's a simple formula. It's like oppressed person, make fun of them, point out the difference, that kills. You know, um, black people steal, lazy, whatever. Jew person cheap, steal land from air. But it's like just a simple like math equation of just like making fun of the elephant in the room, or I don't know, man. It's still technically comedy, but it's like to me it feels like fast food. It feels very lowbrow, and yeah, that works for some people. That works for the general contractor, maybe, but not all general contractors think like that either. But like, you have to make fun. You have to make a wealthy person laugh, and you have to make the person that makes $30,000 a year laugh. That's what makes you a good comic to me. Is
Mm-hmm.
you don't just do like rich people. So like Uber is crazy, right? Or what's the deal with this? You know, and then you have to be like, yeah, my uncle's a degenerate gambler. That guy's gonna laugh because he's like, yeah, he hits me up for money too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like that stuff a lot more. Um, like shows like Shameless, like kind of show that affect of like um a more like dark poverty. It highlights poverty, it highlights debauchery, it highlights all these things. But to me, you have to portray that. But then yeah, there's like Kevin Hart who does like Chase Bank commercials, but they technically do the same thing as like Tim Dillon, or like I feel like for me, you have to be able to make rich and poor people laugh. That makes you a good comic. And to be like disconnected with your audience and be like, go on your podcast and be like, so yeah, I test drove a Porsche with Elon Musk. I'm like, fuck this guy. Fuck
Mm-hmm.
that. To me,
Mm-hmm.
to me. But other people are like, that's so comedy. He's a legend. He can do that. He can go to Saudi Arabia. He can ball out. He deserves it. He made a great show. Blah blah blah. Whatever the hell. Sure. But to me, being rich doesn't make you that you lose some of your humor. Because like, yeah, I find poor people very funny. You should. You have better like experience. To me, you do. But that's again, I'm gonna talk your ear off. So I guess last question before we wrap this up because we're at an hour and five now.
Um, okay, I get a last question. All right. My last question, we'll keep it shortish,
Yeah.
but is you have like the comedy community, you've got a lot of other people out there that are sort of competitors and not and buddies, and I don't know how much you what are you thinking about how other comics are handling the current environment or handle themselves in general? Do you think that it's currently a more toxic environment than it's been? How do you relate to people that you're like, dude, your
If you do
comedy's
this,
really bad?
sorry, I've cut you off
Go
because I,
ahead.
I
That's
think.
the
Oh,
question.
okay, okay. so sorry because if you are in this just for the money, fucking work for Lockheed Martin, dude. They pay way better, you know? You have to do this for like the love of the game. And if you like you want to stand and die by the jokes you tell, great. But like there's comics that I have worked with or I know that like, yeah, I gotta keep doing this gig and that gig. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna wear yourself out. Like for me, like a job, you have to do as little effort as possible to get the most reward. But I guess comedy's great because like you can't really get laid off from it. You just don't get booked. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. There's no real workers' rights. I guess there's no like unionized thing with stand up. Um, and I don't think you should because it's not like a needed thing. It's not. This is a privilege to do this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there's no like I don't think there's stand up comedy in Afghanistan, fucking Somalia, you know? So, yeah, I think, yeah, obviously, you have the right to suck ass on stage in this country, but to be paid for it, that's the question.
Yeah.
So when people are like demanding, like, I should be on the show, I should do this, well, sorry, the market. So we both have that mutual agreement of like, I think that's the most important thing. Like, you think you can be funny all you want, but being paid for it technically makes you, I guess, a professional comedian. Because
Mm-hmm.
I get hard on myself all the time where I'm like, oh man, I'm not like, but hey man, you're still a professional comedian. And I think those people, like those, people I've had around me that say that to me, those are like good friends that like appreciate what I do. Again,
Mm-hmm.
not a veteran, not a first responder worker, but like to have those people, if you're a comic or thinking about doing it, or like, hey, but you're a professional comedian, you've been paid for it, and they've been out to like one or two of your shows, thank them. If there's any comic or open micer watching this, like, yeah, thank the person that they don't have to go to your shitty fucking 5 minute open mic where you're throwing shit against the wall. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, be appreciative of it, but like, don't. An open mic is not Madison Square Garden. Don't expect it to be. I'm sorry to end off on like weird unsolicited advice, but
No.
I think a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of comics want the big thing, whatever it is, the pie in the sky thing. But if you don't do it just because you want to do it, then I don't know, man. Go put in siding. Go cut
Mm-hmm.
grass, man. There's so many other things you could do for money. Do art because it's art, and you want to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Let's land on that. Let's end on that. That's a great
thank you for
little
having me.
sign
I,
night.
I
No,
really
I really
appreciate
appreciate
this.
it.
I got to get back to work, but
Yeah. Well, can you quickly tell people where they can find you?
yeah, you can find me Harrison Liam Friedman on Instagram. You can find me Harrison Friedman on Facebook. I think I don't go on Twitter. But those are the two platforms I'm on. I have a podcast I used to do called Jewanon. You can check that out. I have comedy on TikTok, and I have a YouTube channel if you look me up. But
Cool.
yeah, if
We'll
you're
put
in,
links in the description so everyone can
please.
check that out. All right.
Thank you
Well,
so
thanks
much for
so
having me.
much.